Tournament talk, tackle review, and fishing tactics. All that and a whole lot more on this edition of Tackle Shop Live, starting right now. Yeah. Scott Luckoff, how you doing, buddy? Kyle. What's up, Kyle? Mark's in the house. John Henning. Don Roeder. How are you, Don? What's happening? All right. Well, another show ticked by. We're back again. Another week's gone. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Tackle Shop Live. My name is Mike. This is George.
The Professor.
The Professor.
We now nicknamed him the Professor.
No. That's Pete Gluzik. He's the dean.
Well,
He's the dean.
you're the Professor. Uh-oh.
And this is Corbin down here on the end.
Oh,
and
yeah.
as always, cameraman Nick's in the house.
Hello.
We got Caitlin on the end, the SFT end on the computers, watching everything for us and highlighting all the products that we're talking about. Thank you for Caitlin for helping us. Yeah, man. Raymond, how you doing? William Barnes, Andy Whitmer. What's up, Andy? Let's see. Jason Basta. How are you, Jason? Ed Radnowski, Patrick Carey, Brian Marfitt. How are you, pal? Yep, we just want to welcome everybody from Facebook Live and from over on the YouTube side. How you guys doing? Appreciate everything. Appreciate you guys stopping in. This is Tackle Shop Live, where we get live and real about talking fish and tackle, tournaments, tournament techniques, tactics, lures, everything tackle. We like to kind of say that we love talking about it, and we like to share our information as we travel through this journey of fishing, like we're all doing. And we're always learning. Everybody's learning. Me and George and Corbin, we're always learning.
Absolutely.
So we're always about you guys learning and learning along with us. So whatever we can do to spread that, that's what we're trying to do. Corbin, you were fishing today.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was pretty good, man.
Yeah.
Well,
that's good. At least you were out.
Yeah. I mean, a little hot, but
I was working, Corbin.
I was too, actually.
I know you were.
I
were guiding.
Yeah, whatever.
You were guiding. That's good.
And last week I went striper fishing on the weekend.
Oh, that's right.
With Captain Mark.
Captain Mark, yeah.
And that did not suck. I mean, swim baiting outproduced live lining, legit.
Well, we thought we were going to come and talk about our flounder trip,
right.
Our company flounder trip we do every year. But we were getting ready to leave on Saturday, and basically had the truck packed, and we're going to get down the road, and we get this phone call, and it was our boat saying, "Don't come. It's bad. It's rough. It's going to be nasty. Fish aren't biting. You might as well reschedule." So me and George went to the river and put a beat down on some smallies because we were unable to do the same to flounder. And that was really fun. I mean, around here we have a rising river, so the fish are just absolutely going crazy. So it's been really exciting for everybody. Everybody coming in the shop is just like pounding them. Everybody. I mean, it's all up and down the river, and it's pretty cool. So for around here, for where we're from, ladies and gentlemen, it is on fire, and we are loving it. And we will be getting back out again.
The weather pattern that we had was nuclear hot. In the whole Northeast.
It was nuclear.
In the whole Northeast.
I think a nuclear was a
the
very good
West.
word.
Yes, the West was nuclear hot, but
that's a good word.
The whole Northeast was hot, and
supernova hot.
The fishing was getting
that might be a better word.
Super tough everywhere.
Yeah.
But now this weather pattern's changed. And I mean, you look at rivers like the Potomac, they're fishing way better than normal. You look at places like the Chesapeake Bay, it's fishing way better than normal.
Yeah.
Our local river's fishing really good. I mean, pretty well everywhere that we talk with people all over the country, it's fishing great. And, you know,
yeah,
it's just one of those years.
Roland Barker's in the house. How you doing? Joseph Cascarino. Hope I got that right. David Serralo. Fred Knopp. How you doing, Fred? Jeff Riddle. Ben, how you doing, Ben? Mike Barr. How you doing, Mike? Good. Glad everybody's stopping in. They had another Conowingo Bass Anglers tournament last weekend. And a lot of the guys that are on here are listening to it, and it was a beatdown, just like we knew it was going to be, right, Corbin?
Absolutely.
Rising River, anywhere where you have that rising river, you will beat them down, even if it's on a Conowingo pool, which is usually a little stingy.
Yep.
They smashed them.
Yep.
They had 3 fish over 3 pounds, 2 fish over 4 pounds, and for that area, for this August, that is unbelievable. That's really, really unbelievable. They had 102 smallmouth caught and 13 largemouth weighed in. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
23 limits, 260.21 pounds of fish.
And John Venor even showed up.
24 boats. Yeah, John Venor was there.
Yeah.
They have a great cast of people to fish that tournament. It's pretty, you know, it's not like like listen, some of these guys that are hammers down there can just bomb it any weekend.
You mean like Setlock?
Yeah, they can bomb it.
Yep.
We bombed it once. You can bomb it. It's easy to do. So anybody can win. So that's why I say go down here, fish these tournaments. There's 3 left, I believe, that you can get into. It's a lot of fun. You know, it's just a cool place to fish. And then if you do really well, and say you do, you know, win the tournament, you're up against the best of that pool. So it's really challenging. But it's rewarding when you do well on there, right, George? We've always said that. Everywhere we traveled in fish tournaments.
But really, if you want to know my opinion,
yeah,
and I'm sure you do.
I always do.
I mean, that's everywhere you go in this great country. I mean, there are Tuesday nighters, Wednesday nighters, Thursday nighters, Saturdays and Sundays, everywhere. And when you win one, you're winning against the best. I mean, Guntersville. There's a tournament every day of the week on Guntersville. If you win one of those tournaments, you know, you did something.
Oh, yeah.
Because
doesn't matter where you go.
I mean, the Alabama Bass Trail ain't no joke.
Roll Tide.
You know, I mean,
Roll Tide.
So, you know, if you're wherever you live, where all of our listeners and our viewers, wherever you live, you know, you got a popular spot.
Yeah.
You know, you might be, you know, on the Potomac River, you might be on the Mississippi River, you might be on Guntersville, wherever you are, you have a popular spot and there's a popular circuit. And if you can go and compete on that circuit, A, you're probably fishing on a decent body of water. B, you're having a good time. And if you can do well against that crew, that is like the crew of the area.
Of the area, right.
So
it's I think I like that challenge. And
it is a nice challenge.
It just means a lot more when you
around here we got a little piece of river they call the Conowingo Pool. It's, you know, 13 miles long. And it features a huge variety of it's got like like a little micro cell of like everything that exists in fishing. It's offshore, it's shallow, it's all the patterns, plus it's a river, so it's got current. But that's our little spot. You know, your spot might be a little more significant than our spot, but we like our spot.
Everybody has a little spot, and it's competitive and it's fun.
Even a Tuesday nighter gets you all fired up, you know?
Yeah.
But we call them Tuesday nighters down south. They call them fruit jars, you know. I mean, throw $10 in a hat, but the deal is you learn. You get better.
And you get to go fishing.
Yep. And you meet a lot of cool people along the way that have the same interests.
I mean, think about the people
passion.
Think about the people you know.
Yeah.
From 20 years ago when you started fishing tournaments.
Oh, a lot.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you're still buddies and friends, and it's cool.
Absolutely.
So But anyway, Scott Johnson was fishing solo and took the win with an incredible 17-15.
Ask me if I'm surprised.
Are you surprised?
I'm not, because
Professor says no.
we just got done talking about local hammers.
Yeah, he's one of them.
My man is a local hammer.
Yep.
So guess what?
And the conditions were like
we
the
all
best
had a chance to beat him, but we couldn't.
Yeah, the conditions were the best conditions, and that's when those guys really shine, you know.
Yep.
I thought
Kovac and Setlock were second with 14.49. DiMatteo and Jeremy Boyd, Steve DiMatteo and Jeremy Boyd were third with 14 pounds, nice bag.
And big fish.
And they had big fish for 439, so that was a nice paycheck.
They probably got paid more than second.
Andrew Sands and Dusty.
Just saying.
They got fourth with 1368. And fifth place was Dave McCulloch and Tommy Bennett.
Big Dave.
With 1351. So
now Big Dave is a Conowingo hammer also.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what? Big Dave catches them everywhere he goes.
Yeah. But there's some new names in there. So there's some new names in the paycheck.
Very
realm.
exciting.
So that's very cool. So
2 weeks we have our next one.
Congratulations. 2 weeks to the next one. So you got some time to go down there and practice.
Are we going to fish the next one?
I am.
And it's September 19th, right? Because we got Labor Day.
So that means we are, right?
Yeah.
Oh. So
well,
listen.
I don't know. You might be going somewhere, fishing somewhere.
You never know. So the gauntlet's getting tossed out here.
Yep.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Me and Mike will be there.
We're going to be at the next one for sure.
So
there's no doubt about it.
Let's take it.
We should have went to this one, but it was so messed up with us not going flounder fishing. We were pissed, so we went to the river and took it out on some small.
You got a little sidetracked. Didn't
Well,
you?
I mean, I missed the last rise on the upper river, and
I know.
I was really upset about it.
I know,
because you guys freaking smoked it.
I know.
And I was like, I said to George, I said, I really want to fish that tournament, man, but I don't want to miss this rise one more time. And me and George are working like a bunch of nutcases.
And you know what I said?
So we only getting a little bit of time to fish, and I'm like, man, you know, and we didn't prepare for the tournament because we thought we were going, and it was like, you know what, the quick and easy thing to do is
it's all good.
Just go up and smallmouth beat down, you know.
Plus our jet boat needed exercised.
Yeah, and we went up and had a smallmouth beat down like so many people have. There's so many fish out there, it's unbelievable. I can't even imagine. It's funny because last year the river, everybody's like, oh, the river's dead. Everything's gone.
Look, catfish ate them all last year.
And all of a sudden, the Martians flew over and dropped in a bunch of 4-pounders.
Population controls.
No, the Fish Commission stocked a bunch of 18-inch smallmouth apparently.
All of a sudden.
Because now all of a sudden there's
so all you guys that were hating on the river last year, what do you got to say?
What happened?
Yeah.
Well, that's all good. I mean, it was frustrating last year, but
you know, speaking of tournaments and rivers,
yeah,
I kind of want to lead into my next topic here.
Is it?
Me and Corbin have been like
salivating.
Wash them, wax them in Wisconsin, baby. Wash them, wax them in Wisconsin, baby.
I mean,
that's all I gotta say.
I mean,
wash them, wax them in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
When you can come up with a tagline like that, you should work for a network news station as a sportscaster, and your name should be Dick Hammer.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Hold on. See,
now the sports.
I'm on live right
with
now.
Dick Hammer.
Bro,
wash them, wallops them on the Wisconsin
Main River. Probably on watermelon red. I mean, just saying.
So we'd like a little intro.
Yeah, play that funky music.
We'd like a little intro music, and we'd like a little build up into our little tournament talk segment.
Well, as always, when you're dealing with Tackle Shop Live,
and the professor,
we always go into tournament talk. Starting right now.
Give us some fuel.
All right, George.
Yeah.
This is my boy now.
Oh, I know.
I mean,
I know, man.
Like, I mean, we got
pre-production meeting. You were a little worked up.
Oh, no. This started at the River House last weekend. You know,
well,
I taglined this one last weekend. So Jimmy Washam, who is he, right? I mean, I'm gonna let you break it down a little bit.
I mean, Jimmy Washam is fairly new.
But my man, he was already in the winner's circle once this year.
Yeah. Yeah,
At
but
a
he's
Toyota Series.
he's fairly new
At a
to the
what?
sport.
Toyota Series on Gunnersville.
Oh, really?
We're down there, in that Alabama area.
Yeah.
He wired that.
Yep.
It was on Gunnersville.
Yep.
He wired that. He went wire to wire on that bad boy. Jimmy Washam is got a full-time job. He's a deputy sheriff.
Yep.
And he's trying to fish. He's got his job and he's got his passion, and he's trying to blend the two together. He won a Toyota Series.
Yep.
Which is
Pretty big deal.
kind of,
Pretty big deal.
We'll talk about that.
but it ain't like this.
I mean, my man lost his title sponsor right before the beginning of the season.
So this
Really?
tournament
Yeah.
right here paid $200,000. We're talking about this is part 2 of the title championship.
That we talked about last week.
The Big Five. Yeah. And this is just we're going to spend like 3 more minutes on this, but it's interesting from a couple perspectives that Corbin and I were discussing. First of all, Jimmy Washam was, like everybody else in this tournament, was trailing the obvious winners.
Yes.
Well, that wasn't so obvious.
And that last day field was like stacked. I mean, you had Bobby Lane, Justin Lucas, Avina,
But
Burge.
all these guys were
Yeah.
peaking. They were developing their patterns as the tournament went on, and coming into that last day, they were
on them.
It was
And George, like,
without even wearing a hat.
you fished the Mississippi River before.
I have,
correct?
but
So,
not. This was low water.
So this was low water. So, like, what would you expect would win this tournament for our viewers out there? Because, I mean, if you catch 15 pounds out there, that's a really good bag.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking, Mike and I were trying to follow while we were fishing last Sunday. I was thinking somebody was going to catch 15,
Right.
and change, and I really thought it was going to be Adrian Avina.
Yeah.
Up in the Black River. I really thought he was going to win the tournament. I really thought, because the only 2 other people that were giving him competition did not make the cut. There was 4 other people giving him competition in the form of some kids that Adrian Avina said every time the bass would school up, there'd be like his top water and 4 other top waters, and these kids were like running the bank hard.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Well, they were so
I
excited.
love that. That's so
And-
freaking cool.
It hurt him.
But you really think it hurt him?
Well, you got fish blow up on bait. You throw your top water and 4 more top waters. It was like a top water Alabama
he
rig.
caught him really good in there.
Like a top water Alabama rig.
Oh my God.
And he was so excited about the kids, but it was like
It was conflicting.
I thought Burge was
conflicting.
going to win it. That's who I thought was going to win it when he made the final day with
Yeah.
Zach Burge, because he's just been Mr. Consistency. He does very well out there.
Yeah.
And I mean, he caught a heck of a bag for the final day, 15-12 or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, but
But all of a sudden,
Well-
all of a sudden, here comes a 17-pound bag.
not
After
only
Big Fish
17-15.
Yeah.
Not only did Washam catch 17-15, he was going to go back to his fish. Now, the Black River carried him for 3 days, and he said, wait a minute. I'm not going to the Black River today.
That's crazy. Making
I got a spot, and I'm going to go check it. And he ran there. Well, let's just say he was throwing a 15-year-old heading one knocker spook.
probably in bone.
Well, no, it used to be
When
black.
isn't it in Bro?
No.
Oh,
Everything's in
oh,
bone.
oh,
No.
wait.
No.
Professor. Come
No.
on, Professor. Take us to school.
It was
Come on.
gold. It was black and gold. Probably the color was probably known as black shore shad. But he had caught so many fish on it over the course of 15 years that it was mostly clear with a dark back and a little bit of gold fleck left on it, which doesn't really matter because it's a unique sounding spook that he's had for 15 years, probably reties after every cast. And he made a cast and nothing happened. And he was like, he made another cast. He caught a 3.5 pounder and then it was over.
Yeah.
They ate his spook for a while, and then they got off of that, and he went to a 6-inch Nico rig.
No. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Shaky head.
Oh,
Remember? He,
oh
yeah.
Yeah.
Not so fast, my friend.
Yeah, that's right.
The professor be taking some notes in class right now.
Oh, he went to Nico because
he probably ran out of jig heads.
he went to the Nico because the Shaky was hanging.
Kept breaking it off in rock piles.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. The Shaky head was hanging, so he went to the Nico rig because, the Nico rig, that's one of the benefits of it. It kind of bends its way through those snags.
Yeah, and I think we should talk about that a little bit like later when we like that, because I know that's something we wanted to touch on. We said like the Nico rig versus the Shaky head, but
little did he know that old Big Fish Bobby Lane.
That's the thing.
That's what shocked
had
me.
16 plus.
He's
16, 15, I think. It was a big bag.
Big bag.
Yeah.
Big bag.
He's a hammer, man.
He caught those fish on a
Whopper plopper.
Chopo.
Oh.
That's a Berkeley plopper.
A Chopo, really?
Yeah, got them fusion
Chopo
trebles.
ploppo.
Yeah.
Kane Walker.
Yeah.
That's a Berkeley spook.
Yep.
And a jackhammer stealth blade.
Oh.
Plus, old Big Fish Bobby Lane was doing some flipping up in the house.
Probably with the Maxent Chigger Crawl.
General.
He went all Senko.
Speaking of generals.
Yep.
You got him.
We got a shit ton of stuff.
The generals in the house. We'll talk about that later.
Yep.
Stay on point.
Well,
Take your medication.
quick, go jump on website.
Take a little medication. So Jimmy Washam, this Miller Lite's for you, buddy. Way to hang tough.
Wash them, wax them in Wisconsin.
Yeah, 200K. Thanks for teaching us a couple of things about fishing on the big mighty miss.
Yeah,
and
on the river.
Yeah. So
Jason Basta.
What do you think of that, Mike?
I think Jason Basta had a baby boy.
Oh, congratulations!
Really? That's outstanding.
I didn't even know he was pregnant.
Maybe you're reading that wrong, George.
Could be. Anyway, if you did, congratulations, Jason.
As we transition to the next tournament that we're going to talk about today real briefly, I got one question for you guys. Okay. Brian Schmidt has been dominant on the Potomac River for like a decade.
Mm-hmm.
I got to tell you, I'm a huge Brian Schmidt fan, but I don't know. I think this is a pretty safe argument to say that the Johnston brothers are more dominant on the Thousand Islands than Schmidt is on the Potomac.
Gosh.
It's a bold statement to say.
Well, they certainly are,
but
they certainly are in, say, the last 5 or 6 years.
It is just unreal.
They certainly are in the last 5 or 6 years. But,
didn't we I gotta say, hang on, though.
You can't really take anything away from them.
No, because weren't we just talking about them like a couple weeks ago? They were up there practicing, like,
right.
They were there, back over in Canada, checking things out, over there, moving around, checking things.
But it's just pure dominance.
They are
first and tied for second in a Toyota series. They're probably going to fish the Open.
Yeah,
Corbin, that's what I was going to say. The thing that impresses me the most is, they're sharing a lot of spots, but yet they're still always in the top 5. Not just one, both of them.
Right.
That's impressive.
Well, in massive, huge tournaments, like big money tournaments, and in this one they have co-anglers with them.
Well, they used to travel together.
Like, impressive.
I get it.
They always travel together, Nick. They had a thing where they practiced together. They shared their informations. They're brothers, so they always split their winnings. Whoever won, they split the winnings. Wasn't that them, George?
They split every dime that they cash.
Yeah.
In half,
because they work together that way.
You know what it's called?
And that's
Canada Inc.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought you were gonna say a family business.
It's a corporation, man. Canada Inc.
And they have won. Even before they got famous, they were winning everything.
Team tournaments, boats. I'm just talking about what they've done on what I'm saying.
These guys aren't new to the industry.
Oh no. But
they've been doing this for a long time.
Back when I was fishing a lot, they were fishing the same events.
Yeah, the Costas, the Everstarts,
whatever they wanted to call them.
It's so impressive to see the consistency with all the electronics and everything that's going on there. You know,
I mean,
Chris Johnson
it
said
is.
yesterday on his Facebook he's hoping to catch 25 today and goes and catches 20.
Well, now hold on.
7. I'm just saying. There's
Hold
other
on.
people that are trying to catch a limit.
Hold on. Hold on.
And he's going out 25.
You know, yes, they own the St. Lawrence River. Yes, they own the Canadian Open. Yes, they own, you know, all that deep northern electronics fishing. But you know what? I remember a couple years ago when the Johnston boys pulled up on the Elite Series circuit and the first tournament was in Florida.
Yeah.
And Chris Johnston damn near won that son of a gun.
That's what I'm saying.
Flipping in a foot of water.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he didn't even have electronics because he didn't need them.
Well, this look at all their finishes. I mean, they're always up in there.
Well,
Top
they're just
35.
amazing.
They're in the top 35 almost every tournament.
They're just amazing.
There's somebody else that's pretty amazing lurking behind him though too. Brian Thrift.
Oh yeah. Thrift, you got Ike, you got Justin Adkins.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Justin Atkins is currently sitting in second place. So Chris Johnston, for those of you who didn't get a chance to look at the stats, he weighed 25.7 in today for 5 fish. And he didn't run to the lake. You know, the big thing is they're coming out of Messina and these guys are running for over 2 hours. They're making a 200+ mile round trip to get to the lake, the promised land. These guys, Chris Johnston, he stayed in the river.
what?
I said, what?
Wait. He said, I went out there all the time. Which way to the main river? And he stayed in the river.
He's sucking up those cream puffs in the river today.
Oh man, he's just waiting. He got something in the lake for day number 3.
Well, Justin Atkins ran to the lake because he wants to make the Toyota Series Championship. So if you don't really follow this closely, the thing you have to understand, but the thing you have to understand here is the Toyota Series Championship pays $200,000.
And what's second place pay? Because you already said Keith Combs is winning the championship.
And there's no entry fee.
Right.
Okay. So Justin Atkins did not fish any Toyota Series tournaments. So the only way that he can make this championship is to win this tournament.
So if you win one, you're automatically there. You don't have to fish like the whole Northern Circuit or anything like that.
Yeah, winning, you're in.
Okay.
So he's going to win this bad boy in his mind. He weighed 23.15. He ran to the lake, which was easy today. It was only 2 hours. That leaves you 4 hours to fish.
Yeah.
You only got to get gas once. You only can burn like 80 to 90 gallons of gas, $4 a gallon. Corey Johnston ran to the lake, weighed the same exact weight as Justin Atkins, probably fishing on the same rock pile.
Yeah, right.
Matt Becker, who's a PA boy out of the Berg, he's 23.6. He ran to the lake, and he's a Lake Erie / Ontario.
Yeah, he spends a lot of time up there.
Yeah.
He's good.
They got a cold front coming in tonight. They're going to need the old athletic supporter for that ride tomorrow because there's going to be a little wind blowing on the main river.
Oh, man. That place really goes hard.
That's where we're at. We're on 1,000 Islands. We are drop shotting flatworms.
Yep.
The Johnston boys are drop shotting a prototype worm that they designed, which means they're using either a flatworm or
A crosstail shad.
or a crosstail or an X Zone slammer. Hashtag prototype. Matt Becker, it's hard to say what he's using. So cold front coming in tonight.
And Ike Anelli's just sitting right outside. He's in 11th. And
Let me tell you
Thrift
something.
ain't too far behind.
I would not want to be in this tournament trying to win it with Ike hanging out because Ike is a hammer.
And he ain't afraid to run. I mean,
Dude, he invented running.
Right. I mean,
Let me tell you something.
it's going to be
I don't know
a
about
show.
that.
You don't want Ike hanging on your what?
I don't know.
My man's a veteran.
What's up, Donna Wink?
You think Johnson's
How you doing?
afraid of Ike?
Thank you. Troy
I don't
Wink, how
think
you
anybody's
doing?
afraid of anybody,
I
but
know.
I'd be worried about Ike.
St. Cress is in the house.
Because he's getting ready for that.
What up, St. Chris?
John Kopp, how you doing, Johnny boy?
So we're going to talk about a few things, Mike, that are related to our tournaments. We're going to talk about some random techniques that come from the tournaments. You know, as we go through the night, we're going to recognize some greatness right now. Thank you.
I'd like to thank me. That's what Snoop Dogg would say. Remember that?
Yeah.
Daryl Esterly from Berks County sitting in 10th place.
That's fantastic.
That is.
Is that
Is that on the pro side or the co side?
pro? Is that Skeeter Steve that said that?
Yeah.
Skeeter Steve.
Skeeter Steve.
Is that the
Dropping in,
Steve?
checking us out.
Steve, is that the pro side or the co side?
Pro.
Oh, very
Really?
good.
Wow.
Very good.
Daryl, good for him.
What? Well, I don't think Daryl's exactly a stranger up there. He puts his time in. He's a hard fishing guy. He's good. And I'll bet you he's drop shot and a flatworm. I'm just going to hope I didn't give nothing away.
Jeremy,
there.
how you doing? Todd Langle,
Ah,
what's up?
Todd Langle, good to hear from you, brother. Me and Corbin were up in your neighborhood a couple weeks ago. We were looking for you. We were up on the North Branch.
Oh, we was at Danville.
I said, where's Todd Langle up here? I was looking for your River Pro, perusing the shallows.
Well, we were fishing, like I said, over the weekend, and I had a nice conversation with George and Corbin on Monday or Tuesday. We were talking, and it was about fishing a chatterbait, which we all do.
Yeah.
But you know, the situation that we were fishing, and you know, it's we don't do it a lot, but we do fish it like this a fair amount. But the chatterbait, we were fishing a chatterbait, and we had a couple of situations. We had grass, and then we were fishing some current. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And the bite turned out to be this bite where you couldn't, just straight reel it, Nick. I mean, it was just like you couldn't straight reel this thing in. They wouldn't bite it. They wouldn't hit it. If you tried to throw a spinner bait, the grass would get on it and it would trash it. So we had to throw it out and fish it like a jig. So it was like you buzzed it up, and then the current would grab it, and then it would just kind of go down and hit the bottom, and then you'd buzz it up a little bit, and it would swing.
I like to call that yo-yoing.
It is a kind of a yo-yo. It's more of a floating yo-yo because and you had to use a 3/8 ounce to get a lot of the bites. And while it floated, the key was the blade. You'd feel it. It would go tick, 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 and then it would hit the bottom. And then you'd pick it up, and it would go brrr, and then it would tick, 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 and it hit the bottom. And we caught a lot of fish where it was just tick, tick, tick.
And they swim at you.
And then all of a sudden there was nothing.
Yep.
And then you would reel down and just, jack on these fish, and it would be a 3.5 pounder. It was amazing. So the question was coming up like, glass versus graphite, medium action, medium heavy, or heavy action. But I was fishing a Poison Adrena 7.2 medium heavy. And that rod gave me that information that I just told you. Okay, with fluorocarbon.
Now, Mike, I mean,
it was the feel.
That
was important.
We had a very interesting dialogue about this because you're usually a Loomis guy. I mean, I know you fish Shimano and Loomis and but for you being like an MBR, normal taper guy, break it down to us, because this was really the first time, and you literally said, you're like, that Poison Adrena was very impressive on this chatterbait.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was like the first time that you threw it on that, if you've thrown it in grass on it, but you said to me, you're like, dude, this rod was the deal. And you're like, I am talking about this Poison Adrena chatterbait that I did past weekend on Tackle Shop Live. And so, I mean, kind of explain what was different about it. I mean, you're talking about 7.2 medium heavy. I mean, because I'm going to talk about my MBRs and stuff like that then, but why was that the deal? What made that the deal?
Well, let me back up a little bit on that. When I sell rods, when I sell rods to guys, I don't ever expect anybody to buy a $400 rod.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't ever expect anybody to do that. I expect them to buy in certain rods the best rod they can buy for the money that they have.
Yep.
And that's all I ever say to people. is, for a jig rod and for a tube rod, a Ned rig rod, and those rods where you need that feel, spend as much money as you can afford.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Correct.
And what's amazing about the market now there's a lot of $159, $189 rods that are freaking spectacular.
Absolutely.
That are just unbelievable. But if you can afford that, which a lot of guys can, because that's if you look at fishermen, they that's all they do. So it's not like they don't do anything else. They're not going out and doing like 15 different things. They fish.
Right.
So a $400 rod really isn't a big stretch for a lot of people. But what about that rod is that I really liked was two things. Number one, it was stiff.
Right.
And that allowed me to pick that bait up and feel the buzz of the bait and then control that bait as it was falling and feel that fall without the rod tip flexing and doing all kinds of weird stuff and losing that feel.
Well, what I'd like to add to that, Mike, is so you have developed your chatterbait technique around a graphite rod, be it a fast taper, medium heavy to heavy power, depending on your scenario. So my point is this: you've developed your technique around that. The guys that are fishing glass.
Well, I haven't got there yet to the glass.
Right.
I haven't got there yet.
Well, so like Mike,
I'm just saying that in this situation, this is why I think this rod, that's what Corbin asked me. This is why I think that rod was the deal, was because I just really feel like, tink, 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 bottom. Tink, 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 tink. And I'm not shitting you. It was the blade tick, 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 tick on the head. That's what a chatterbait's so good for,
And like with that, I don't want to say stiff taper, but the fast taper.
The fast taper, the heavier action.
How many fish did you lose with them swimming at you? Because a lot of times with the softer rod, when they're on a jig bite,
yeah,
right? Like, I mean, that's why you can't use a crankbait rod for a flipping jig. You need to be able to drive that hook. So when you pick that up and it flutters down and they start eating it, you need to be able to catch up and still be able to drive that hook. So you probably had a pretty good hookup percentage.
I did, but I lost a few fish, and I feel like the heavy rod, I pulled the hooks out of their mouth because it was like major massive current or whatever. The first fish I caught in the day would have been my biggest fish of the day, and I ended up losing it because I just pulled loose. So I don't know. The glass rods argument, is that they don't lose fish. They catch the fish, all the fish, just like they do with crankbaits. They catch all the fish with it. They don't lose fish.
That would have been a great day to test that too, because I missed and lost almost as many fish as I caught. I was fishing my favorite chatterbait rod. I caught a lot of fish, but I missed and lost almost as many as I caught. But that would have been a great day to experiment with that.
But
and I'm not saying,
to be honest, though,
not saying it would have made it any better.
To be fair, though, bro, you were bullheaded and you wouldn't change from a half ounce chatterbait at first, and you were getting a lot of bites because it was falling too fast. And I'm telling you, that's what it was. It was a floating thing. It was, like I said, it was very, very specific. And in that situation, I feel like, I don't care what rod you had. If you didn't have a rod that you could feel that certain thing and have that certain float, then they weren't sucking it in. If it was too fast, they were just swiping at it, and they were tearing the tails off. And then I kept working in. I kept figuring it out. And then I finally figured out what I needed to do. And then that's how I produced the bite for the day. And then George was finally convinced. He switched over to the 3/8, and then he started to not miss fish anymore.
No, I still missed a lot of fish.
We missed a few fish,
and I had a lot of short strikes.
Not with the 3/8.
But what I don't know is that would have been a great day to experiment with glass, because I have no experience at all fishing a chatterbait on glass. Zero, zip, nada. And that would have been a great day had I had the presence of mind to think about that.
Don't you remember when we used to take our 7 foots and put braid on them and fish chatterbaits on them?
Yeah, those rods were really not designed for it. It
They're medium heavy glass rods.
Yeah, they weren't really designed for it. I mean, I would love to have thought about it and tried it. I mean, I'm a graphite guy. You know,
you can't take it away. And then me and George,
I love a graphite.
Yeah.
Fast taper. I do not like an extra fast taper. I mean, Jack Hinkle is asking us to name our top 3 chatterbait rods, and I happen to know Jack is a chatterbait chucking machine.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like, if you're fishing with Jack and he's on a chatterbait bite, you need to like have packed a big hoagie with you because he is sucking them up. I would say, Jack, you know, I'm a graphite, medium heavy to heavy, fast taper. I like what I like. I'm gonna go. And I fish primarily. My rods that I primarily fish, Jack, are Shimano, G Loomis, and I like my St. Croix pretty good. But for this duty here, I really like a G Loomis MBR series 843 or an 844. When I'm fishing vegetation, I like the 844. When I'm fishing open water, I like the 843. I will say this, Mike and I had an absolutely stellar day, as you heard, on Sunday, and I didn't touch either one of them. I threw a 7.3 or 7.2 medium heavy poison adrena, simply because it was, I'll be honest with you, it's also a favorite, and it had a chatterbait tied on it when I pulled up on my first spot. But I think the guys who have learned and mastered glass in a situation like Mike and I had faced on Saturday or Sunday of the past week, I think those guys would have fared a little better. I mean, I'm not complaining. We caught, I mean, we put the Ben Franklin on them. I mean, we caught a lot of fish. But I'm just saying that was a tailor-made situation for that.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying that.
Same reason we crank with glass sometimes.
Yeah, but we fish.
Would have been interesting.
We fish chatterbaits all over the place. We fish them in the bay. We fish them in lakes around. We go down to wherever we go, up to New York, down to freaking south, whatever we do.
We don't leave home without it.
We always fish them.
It's like American Express.
And,
exactly.
You know, I think anytime you're in that grass, man, and I don't know how in the hell you can do it with one of them freaking.
Well, they're big and powerful. So, you know, two of the. And these are glass rods.
I know. And I want to tell you something here, George. The only damn reason that they're making these rods is because of Brett Height.
Yeah.
That's the only reason. Now, think about who Brett Height is.
Well,
Brett Height is a tournament high.
I think.
Wait, just be quiet for 1 second, please.
I always do. I mean,
the highest. No, I'm not. I'm just let me talk for a second. Yeah. The highest level of tournament fishermen.
Right.
Out there.
Right.
That cannot have a lost fish.
Correct.
That has to have every whatever to get that fish in the boat, and who has developed that type of a thing.
Didn't we say in previous episode he was won over $1 million on a chatterbait or something like that?
Yeah, but he developed it with glass.
On a glass rod.
Right.
And and what I'm trying to say is I only feel like these rods are out there because of that evergreen rod that was built, the chatterbait rod.
Yeah. And
that this is a competition for that rod.
I agree. I agree.
That there's a lot of people fishing this rod that really don't like them.
Touche.
Honestly, I can't speak on it because I've never taken the time.
I know.
To fish them.
That's my feeling. Because I don't know how you can clean your.
I crank with glass.
I don't know how you can clean your bait off in a grass patch.
These are pretty powerful
with the glass rod. I'm sorry, you can't do it
without braid. Without braid.
Without braid. Without braid.
These are pretty powerful.
They are powerful.
You take that.
And what do you have here, George? Show us what you got.
I got a Shimano SLX,
which is a great rod,
medium heavy glass. I've never fished it.
They did great with it.
I've never fished the rod, and I've got a St. Croix Legend Tournament glass rod in a heavy, and I've never fished that. But
you fished the St. Croix glass rods before.
Oh, I fished all these rods, but never the heavies that are designed.
So you can speak for the sensitivity of them.
Yeah, but I've never fished them when they're designed.
I know, but can you speak for the sensitivity of that?
They're very sensitive,
right?
They're extremely sensitive.
So do you think
rods.
it's as sensitive as a
I think it's sensitive enough.
Well,
I think it's sensitive enough, but I would say you need to fish if you're a serious chatterbait guy. You need to fish a glass rod at some point. And I will say it again. I think this past Sunday, I personally screwed up big time by not doing that because these fish were not committing to this bait. So you had fish that committed to it, and you had an equal number of fish that didn't. And I think that glass rod would have been a deciding factor there because of the give. Same reason as a crankbait. But the thing is, they give, but they're powerful. These are big, heavy, powered glass rods, but they don't weigh a lot. Now, the evergreen glass rod, it does weigh a lot.
I think all the glass rods weigh more than graphite, though.
Well, I mean is 3 ounces too heavy?
I don't know. To me, it just feels they do. Feel
so if you have a 2.5 ounce graphite rod and a 3 ounce glass rod, we're talking about a half of an ounce because that's the difference in the weight here.
Okay.
I mean, yes, it is heavier, but it is a half of an ounce. You go over and pick up that evergreen glass rod, and it weighs 2 ounces heavier. So 100% heavier versus 0.1% heavier. So, yeah, it's heavier.
You definitely have to get used to that.
I can't say the glass rod's not heavier.
You definitely have to get used to that.
3 ounces is heavier than 2.5.
So, George,
But is that heavy?
But I happen to take a notice. There was a huge demand for these earlier. The Imx Pro Chatterbait Rod. And you have a bunch of them in stock.
Well, you know what? And you know what upsets me with this rod?
Like,
they make a medium in this.
Which
I wouldn't fish a freaking crankbait on, let alone a chatterbait.
Like, I want to know. So, like, they call this a blend, or like this is the Loomis Chatterbait Rod. Like, what's the difference in this versus like the MBR versus the glass rod?
These are graphite. They're 100% graphite, but they're not IMX. They're not G6X. They're a blend. But they make this rod. This is
that's the medium.
This is I would not buy this rod for chatterbait fishing. This is a 852C bladed jig rod. Now, if you fish lighter jigs, never going over 3/8 and open water, this rod's great.
I'd use it for a stealth blade.
But if you're fishing grass and cover,
they make that in heavier.
Personally, yeah, they do. The 3 power is phenomenal.
Yeah,
I think this rod's too light. Now, again, I'm sure there's somebody out there that is just like, wait a minute, you got to learn this rod.
So let me just
and that kind of the trend here.
Let me just reiterate. The chatterbait is something you're fishing around grass, in grass. Our grass that we had.
Yeah, maybe
the grass. Well, I'm just saying
we didn't fish any grass on.
No, but we had a shit ton. We had a shit ton of grass coming down there, and we were fishing grass. Actually, it was just
not much,
just breaking off, and we had a lot of grass floating down, and we were picking it up. But you could clean it off. You could pop your rod and clean it off. You could fish grass beds, and you can bring a chatterbait through the grass bed, and you can clean it off by snapping your rod. If you don't have the right tip on that rod, it will not clean. It's very frustrating. I talked to a guy today. I think Jason from Virginia. If you're listening, Jason, how you doing? You and your buddy were up here, and he was saying about fishing a swim jig rod, and he always had trouble cleaning it off. But he's fishing like a medium.
Remember what Brian Schmidt said on his swim jig rod?
He's fishing a medium with 15-pound fluorocarbon, and he's having this terrible time cleaning it off. You know what I mean? Just trying to clean his grass off. So I picked up another rod. I rigged another rod up, and I instantly cast it out, fished it like 3 or 4 casts, put it down. I couldn't even stand it. Couldn't even stand the feel. It was just too mushy. And it gave me a kind of idea that maybe that's the way those glass rods feel, and that I probably would never like it, because it's just too mushy for me.
Well, isn't the whole like glass chatterbait rod concept about the fact that they eat it better and they suck it in so you don't pull the hook, better hook penetration, like all that? Isn't there some of that to that, George?
Oh yeah.
Like,
I've never fished one.
but isn't that
No,
what
but that's the concept behind
concept
it. That's the concept
Yeah.
behind it. George knows the
The
concept.
concept is those fish eat that bait and the rod gives to them, just like a glass crankbait rod.
Because most of the time you throw them out, reel them back. You know, you're not doing this yo-yoing technique. You know, and I don't think you can. I don't think you can yo-yo with a glass rod. It's just you lose too much feel. And anybody
we're
wants
gonna have to find out.
Well, anybody wants to argue with me, I would say, well, why the hell wouldn't you fish a glass rod for a jig? Because that's what the hell you're doing.
Right.
You shouldn't even have to say that. You should be like, bro, you're right. That is for that situation. There's absolutely no reason why you would fish a glass rod, an evergreen rod, St. Croix chatterbait rod. They make 2 of them, which were very nice. They make the heavy in the tournament, and then that just came out with a more affordable one in the Mojo. But in yo-yoing, it just not. That's what it's for, and that's what I was trying to get at today. For that yo-yoing technique, it's just not feasible to use that rod. You're going to do much better off fishing a graphite rod than you will a glass rod. And I know exactly what he's going to say. I don't know. I never tried it.
I'm not going to say anything.
That's what he's going to say.
Well, you take stuff personal, don't
I'm not
you?
taking it personal, but that's what you're going to say.
My man's getting a little worked up here.
My man, I mean,
No, I'm asking you why you wouldn't fish a graphite rod in that yo-yoing situation.
I do.
Yeah,
Exclusively.
exactly.
Because I've never taken the time to learn a glass rod. I might be missing something here. I don't think so. Because I catch the
bejesus out of them.
the F star out of them on a graphite rod. But
Sometimes.
I mean, I would like to learn and expand my horizons a little bit on this glass rod thing.
I just don't see it, man.
So, guys,
We got that. We picked up on that.
I don't care.
for your audience
And I
here,
think
this
that's
is
a dumb statement.
a huge
You're steering people in the wrong direction.
this is a huge tip you're giving them out there. The yo-yo.
Yeah.
A lot of guys probably didn't try that
Right.
yet. Is that something that you just tried and it worked this time? Or
We've been,
is that something
we've
you always
been
do?
doing it for a while.
Yeah.
We've been doing it for a while, but it's really something that, I don't know. It's been probably 4 years that we've been doing it.
Yeah.
And it's been really a smallmouth technique for us.
Well, we've been doing it ever since there's been a chatterbait. One of the biggest chatterbait fish I ever caught in my life was yo-yo in a trap in grass. And I pulled this trap up over a clump of grass and was letting it fall back down. I pulled it up and I just saw a head. Let it fall back down. And I mean, this thing was a beast. In grass, shallow,
Rip rap. It's really good.
in current on seams,
Yeah.
deep water points, ledges.
I'd say 95% of the people that fish chatterbaits just straight out throw them out and reel them back.
Right.
And that's what they're great for. And they work really well. But there's times where the fish, you kind of force feed them, or the conditions. The conditions say you can't just reel it back because there was no way on Sunday for us to straight out reel it back.
Right.
Where we were. Just where we were. I know guys were doing it other places on the river, but where we were. And then the funny thing was those fish were still chasing bait all over the place, but they wouldn't hit a straight reeled back bait. They wanted it. You must just dropped it in your mouth or whatever. But when they wanted it, they got it. They ate it.
Yeah.
So, but and what I was saying originally on that statement was the sensitivity issue that you needed to have in that situation. You don't get out of glass. It's very sensitive, but you don't get that level of sensitivity where you can feel the tick, 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 tick as it's dropping.
Yeah.
And then the tick stops and it's not the bottom.
Right.
You feel that. And a lot of times that fish is coming at you and you reel down 2-3 cranks and you whack them. And you caught them without even knowing that they were there. Honestly, you can't feel that with a glass rod. That's all I'm saying. In that situation, there's no possible way that a glass rod would come into play. Whether you tried it or not, there's no way it would play. I'm telling you, it won't happen. Bring B height along. Jump on the boat. Jump on the boat, B height.
So Mikey, this we'll call it the Mikey Shimmer on the chatterbait on Sunday, right? What kind of trailer were you using? Tell us a little bit about because I see you got some things out here, and
Well, I mean, it's I fish a lot. I started out with my favorite combination, which is a jackhammer with you know, this is, I don't want to make this another jackhammer show, but it was just a regular jackhammer, black and blue, and I put a 3/8 ounce on, and I was thinking I should go to a 1/2 ounce, and I think I even said to George, or he even said to me, what you know, I'm going to go to 1/2 ounce because the water was running pretty hard. So I'm going to throw this 3/8, and I put on a Little Dipper black and blue trailer.
Penetration.
Yep, penetration, and that's my favorite setup. That's what I always fish. You know that. I fish it in green pumpkin and I fish it in black and blue.
Mm-hmm.
And in the green pumpkin, sometimes I dip the tail in chartreuse. Mm-hmm. So I was fishing that. Boom, gets bites. Set the hook, ripping the tail off. Okay, throw out again. Boom, get a bite. Set the hook, rip the tail off. Boom, catch a fish. Boom, catch a fish. Boom, rip a tail off. George is ripping like 300 tails off. We're just missing them like crazy.
Right. They short striking.
Yeah. So it was like, damn, you know, we need some, you know, some Z-Man stuff. So I got the crawl out and I put the crawl on the back of the jig, and first cast, I mean, it was boom, whack, caught the fish.
Yep.
Threw out again, caught another one. Threw out again, caught another one. And I wasn't missing as many. And the ones that I was missing wasn't tailing my tails off. So I was back in the water right away.
Yeah.
I wasn't re-wigging.
Yeah.
I was back into another cast right away.
It's funny that you say that. It happened on my guide trip today.
Yeah.
And I could see them because they were coming out of the grass because the water cleared up. And they'd come up and they'd chase the chatterbait. And I threw the stealth blade all day. And they'd like eat the tail. And then you'd like crank it a little more. And the fish would chase it. And they'd eat the tail again. And then they'd chase it. And then they'd turn as they saw the boat and they'd swim away.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Like, but what you're saying about them eating the tails off, I mean, I can see how that becomes.
Well, you know, and
you know,
well, honestly, Corbin, that now that I developed that pattern for the day,
mm-hmm.
I was reeling it in.
Yep.
And then I started slow rolling it in.
Yep.
And then I was getting bites and I was catching more slow rolling it in.
Yep.
And then I started yo-yoing. That's when I started yo-yoing. It took a progression. Started out reeling, started out with a slow roll. I found out that I didn't get as much grass when I really slow rolled it. I was getting more bites, and then I progressed into my yo-yo, and then I really had to float it. I felt like I had to hold my rod up and kind of let the current float it, you know, and get that thing going. And then I was really getting the bites.
Yep.
You know, so it was a progression, you know, progressed through. But you know, it was nice to have a bait that you didn't have to change. Every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
You know, it was really, really nice because we were catching the hell out of them.
Yep. We so the adjustment I made today was I started twitching it, you know, through those isolated grass clumps, and then on my client's rod I actually put a razor shad on.
Yeah.
And that streamlined tail, and he threw regular jackhammer, and they ate that really good today. I mean, I caught some good ones on the stealth blade. He caught some good ones on the jackhammer with the razor shad, but you know, just that little bit of a twitch in that tail, and we used one trailer all day.
It's really
it's interesting, like tweaking it, breaking it down.
Yeah.
Really, you know, using the diversity of the chatterbait and just the different ways that we do it, and you know, the fact that the stealth blade plays. You know, it's like everything about this is just, you know, we're taking a technique that is by far one of the hottest on the market right now, and we're tweaking it in our own way. You know, we're doing something a little bit different. You know, we're yo-yoing, we're incorporating a stealth blade, you know, we're changing trailers, changing trailer colors, you know, changing trailer plastic formats to get more you know, life out of keepers, so we're getting more casts and being more productive, and ultimately it's yielding more fish results. So
yeah, I mean, you know, the guys are chiming in here, you know, they're saying, you know, throw it out, let it sink in and reel it straight in. And that's, I'm telling you, most of the time, that's the technique. I mean, it works great. Works absolutely fantastic, you know, bringing it, just throwing it out, reeling it back. But try that technique. It's something that we've been doing for a while, and it's really a feel thing. And I'm telling you, it takes a very sensitive rod. It takes fluorocarbon line, and it takes a very, very sensitive rod to be able to fish that thing in a fashion where you don't miss any fish. You're force feeding those fish. You're having them eat it. And then you're feeling every little thing that goes on. And I'm sorry, it takes a graphite rod to do so.
Yeah.
Yep. So that was great conversation on that. Try it out. I know everybody's been fishing them all over the place. I mean, everywhere. We've been talking to people down on the bay, up on the lakes, all over the country. Everybody,
Yeah.
we're sending these things everywhere right now. They're really super hot.
And
Everybody's
you have a
catching fish
ton
on
of them in stock. I mean, like I walk
Yeah.
back the aisle. You guys have a ton of jackhammers. I mean,
We do.
You have the hot colors in stock. You have
Yep.
chartreuse and white. Also, I mean, it's impressive. I mean,
Yep.
I know that you guys been busting your ass to get the inventory, and it shows, man. Everybody appreciates it. So, but I got a question. What's George? Batra X, Batrax, Bass Trax. I mean, like, are you? I mean,
It's just a.
You're about to go professor on us.
No, man. This is just for my Mega Bass guys. I mean, we have a nice core of Mega Bass guys that love coming in the shop here, and I'm always trying to get them something unique.
Is it a jitterbug or a whopper plopper?
Yeah, it is.
What? It's a jitterbug. Whoa. Jitterbug whopper plopper. Is it weedless?
Yeah, it's a frog. And it's really interesting. It's for my Mega Bass guys, I'm always looking out for you. This is a Batra X. It's a Mega Bass.
Soft body.
Yeah, it's kind of like a collaboration between Mega Bass and Monster Kiss. And for all you JDM hardcore guys out there, we got you a few. I mean, they're kind of short supply, but you got a little frog with a hypodermic grade hook. You have a little whopper plopper kind of semi-hard tail with a double hook. Not only do you have a whopper plopper, but you got a double hook on it.
I thought that was interesting.
You have like a soft cup jitterbug mouth. Now, what's cool about it is this is all made to be modular, so you can take this off the front.
Wait,
you can take this off the back, and you can have a little frog, or you can leave this on the back, and you can have a whopper plopper,
toad frog,
or you can put this back on the front and have a
jitter plopper.
Yeah. So
jitter,
it's
froggy.
Wait.
Jitter.
It's called a Batra X. It's Mega Bass and Monster Kiss.
George, this might be the coolest bait
It's
that I've
pretty
seen
cool.
since the banjo minnow. I'm serious, man. Like I need to know so I need to know some more about this because
I mean it's pretty cool bait. So
is this
we
gonna
have
be,
we have a
weedless? Like,
well, yeah.
So is this my whopper plopper solution to floating grass on the main river?
Maybe.
I mean, am I going to throw this on mono? Am I going to throw it on braid? Am I going to throw it on a frog rod? I mean, how much does this thing weigh? Do I need a different setup? I mean, I need to know, Professor.
Tell me about it, man.
Take me to school, bro.
I never threw one a day in my life.
Bro, take me to school.
It's just something I got in because I have here at the shop, Mike and I, we have a very hardcore Mega Bass following.
It's 5/8 of an ounce.
And we're always trying to
51 millimeter.
They're always begging us for something hot and new. This thing checks off all the boxes. So they're very limited supply. We're not even going to put them up on the website. They're just, if you want them, call in or stop in. They'll be gone pretty quick.
Hold on a second. I mean, I feel like I got to get one of these. It's got my favorite rod and it's called GLX. GLX Peacock, man.
Yeah.
I mean, can a brother get a Batra X GLX Peacock up on the house?
Well, whenever Mega Bass says GLX, they're referring to that kind of metal flaky body.
Yeah.
Translucent metal flake type body. That's a GLX finish.
What happens if you take this off and put it? Can you spin it this way? I mean,
why not?
I was just asking.
I never threw it. I don't know. I really don't know much about it, but this is a multi-functioning lure.
We are going to have the Batrax challenge off of the Lower Clyde dock at some point this year.
We'll give it a shot sometime. I think it's interesting.
Very cool bait. But it's really coolly built. The double hook that comes back is on a harness that goes all the way up to the front of the bait. And it ties all in. Everything ties in with this bait. So it's a very, very hardcore bait, but like George said, it's a frog, it's a toad with the whopper plopper tail, It's
Weedless
weedless
jitterbug.
It's everything. It's all the above, and it's all modular, so you can take it off and put it back on. It's pretty cool bait. We just, like George says, we like to keep up to date with all our hardcore megabass guys. We're hardcore megabass guys ourselves. We still have a couple of the special run colors in stock. We got another couple boxes that they found in the warehouse laying on the floor. We got a couple in. So we got some of the
Rising Sun and Crystal Lime Frog.
Yeah, we got a couple of those in and a couple of different styles. So call the shop here if you want some of the special runs. They are a couple still available.
And George, what's the price on the Batra X GLX Peacock?
$19.99.
$19.99.
Yep.
All right. Can replace 3 top waters with 1.
Yeah, we didn't get very many of them. They only sent us like 40 or 50 of them, and them guys have been my Mega Bass boys have been coming in and jumping on them hard. So we just had it laying up here on the counter and thought we'd show it to you because it's pretty cool.
It's got the rumble tail.
All right, George. Other thing we wanted to talk about tonight was the screw head and how freaking awesome that is.
Yeah. I mean, one of the hottest swim bait tactics in the country is finesse swim baits. And, if you don't know about the Mega Bass Akashira screw head, I don't know what's the address of the rock you live under, but, it must be nice.
Well, I mean, a lot of people, it is kind of there's a lot of people that don't know about it.
Well, right. Chris Zaldain kind of made it famous a year or so ago.
But a lot of guys don't watch that kind of stuff. They don't watch that hardcore stuff.
And it's a pretty popular item. The latest and the greatest.
What does it do, first of all?
It's basically a head that's designed to throw a finesse swim bait on.
Yep.
We usually throw a spark shad on it. But you can put any swim bait you want on there. We generally throw a 3-inch spark shad, which is a Mega Bass product. Comes in 3-inch, 4-inch, 5-inch. The 3-inch and the 4-inch are straight freaking money. The 3-inch on a screw head is killer. The screw head's got a little prop. I'll get one out here and show it to you.
Yeah, because it's really very interesting for you guys that don't know, or if you guys are a bit on the fence about it. It's very, very interesting bait. It does what we want a swim bait to do, and that's have a little roll to it. And George is going to show you how this blade.
Yeah, so they came up with this this head design several years ago, and it was not really well received. And then Chris Zaldain came along and started destroying giant spotted bass on Lake Lanier on this thing. And the whole world went nuts on it. It is simply a fish catching setup. If you're around some fish and the bite's just not happening, and they're feeding on smaller bait, you take this little jig head right here, and I'm going to say it's got about a 2.0 hook in it, a really nice quality, like black nickel coated type hook. It's got a monofilament looped keeper that's wrapped on in thread. I mean, the detail on this thing is ridiculous. Crazy. They came out with 3 new colors. They came out with a shadow spawn, which is a darker. They came out with a Tennessee shad, which is lighter. They came out with a weed camo 2, which is kind of greenish. I mean, I have my feelings on it. I don't think the color matters. They couldn't keep the other ones in stock, so I'm not sure why they came out with new colors. They could have just made the old colors, and I mean,
I love it.
I love it too.
I just don't think the color matters. I mean, they eat this thing. I have one I have one with no paint on it. I don't know what they would call that. Naked Camo 3. I don't know what it would be called.
Professor George's.
But it catches fish. Okay.
So
yeah, it does it ever.
And I'll tell you what, this thing, I hardly ever lose one of these things.
So George, one thing I kind of want
So,
you to,
you know,
I want you to break this down, because a lot of times around here and in general, we talk about fishing a swim bait on a ball head jig, you know, kind of letting it float to the bottom, popping it up, kind of almost yo-yoing it. You see these guys doing it with, you know, 3/4 and 1 ounce swim baits and stuff like that down on the ledges down south. I mean, this is a different type of retrieve. This is just a cast out and straight reel in, correct? I mean, you're not going to flutter this. You're not going to.
Basically, like Chris Saldane, for example, when he was fishing this on Lake Lanier, he was fishing suspended fish that were, you know, in 80 feet of water, suspended, 20 feet deep. Okay. And he would count this thing down and he would slow roll it over their head and they would crush it. And you got a little bitty, this is a spark shad, which is just a super, I mean, it's got mega bass detail on it. It's got little fins on it. I mean, you know.
Is it hand poured? Is it?
No, it's not hand poured. It's probably an open pour.
Okay.
But it swims freaking awesome.
Okay.
It's real subtle.
Is there other swim baits that would work just as good?
It's super subtle though.
Probably.
It's super subtle.
But this freaking thing right here catches fish, and when you put it on this head,
yeah,
you got. I mean, it's money. Now you got to be careful.
Right. That's now you're getting into the
I'm gonna rig one up here for you,
bro. This is you're getting in the juice.
What I like to do when I rig these, you kind of don't want to screw up here because, you know, you're pushing $1 on a swim bait. So I like to kind of get a ball head idea. You know, I'm going to come in right here. So the back of this critical pectoral fin that's molded on here. And I'm going to thread that on there nice and straight. Okay. I'm going to bring my head out where I got my idea at. And then I'm going to ease it up over that keeper. Now, you don't want to push it up there too far because now your blade won't turn. Okay. So you want to be like just right there. Look at that. Blade turns nice.
There's actually a little washer in front of it. You come up to that.
Yeah. It's almost like a bobber stop.
It's a bobber stop.
Okay. It's almost like a bobber stop.
And you come up to that and stop.
But see, if you come back too much farther, that's not going to work.
No, you get a big bend in your bait and it doesn't swim properly.
Now, what I do.
How do you keep pulling the pants down on it?
Well, I mean, if you just tie that on and throw it out there, like I fish a lot with my good partner here, Mike, and he goes through. I mean, I don't know.
I go through a lot of baits.
He just doesn't take the time to tune up.
I don't.
I know, Mike. I love it.
I'm terrible with it.
I take his jet boat fishing a lot because he keeps it at my house, and I can fish off the floor of his boat for at least 2 days. Okay. Without spending $1. Now, I like to take this little Hayabusa trailer lock here, which I've gone over this on Tackle Shop Live before, but I fished one of these on Sunday. We got up in this little creek in the morning before we really got cracking fish. And this thing had been rigged up on a rod in my boat for probably 2 months. And it's probably been thrown hours. And it's caught fish. So if you want to get your mileage out of your baits and not be constantly retuning them, I take this little trailer keeper here, which is nothing more than a little...
Made by Hayabusa.
It's a little spring steel keeper with a little dip on it. And you got to use the small size on this little bait.
Hayabusa trailer lock.
Now, this dip here, it's kind of like...
Caitlin.
What's that stuff that the guy sells? Flex Seal. It's kind of like Flex Seal. And it creates a keeper. Okay, so now we got this on here. Okay.
Get a picture of that first, Nick, so you can see that.
Now, I use my pliers.
Here, turn it so you can see. Look,
and I squeeze that together. Okay. I kind of get that all kind of. You want your ringed part, your loop part. You want that touching the bait.
Right there. That's where you want to be.
And then you squeeze that wire together, and you push it inside there and let it go. And now you have this thing can't go back, and your little propeller blade is spinning nice.
As that old Cajun down south goes, that's money. You're saving money.
And eventually it's going to pull back on you, but I mean, she's locked in there pretty good. And I caught probably 8 or 10 fish on one bait. And it swims nice. It rolls nice. I don't even throw it unless the bites. I mean, if they're crushing bait, you don't need this.
Yeah, you don't need it.
This is for when they're not crushing bait.
Right.
But when you're
or if they're
around,
really picky on a certain
when
bait,
you're around fish and you can't catch them, and you swim this through them and you still can't catch them, you have two options at that point.
That's
go
money,
somewhere
dude.
else,
That's right.
or go home.
Throw a fluke.
That's money, dude. That's exactly what that is.
So 3 new colors in 16th and 1/8 ounce. Shadow Spawn, Tennessee Shad, Weed Camo 2. The 3 existing colors, they're not in stock, and they're not going to be in stock. So you're going to have to buy the new colors.
Yep.
Website Matt has them all loaded up and ready to go. We got a whole big old truckload of them in stock.
Yep.
Because they had to build new colors.
Yep.
And,
All right.
plenty of spark shads to go with them. So that technique is bad to the bone.
And we wanted to talk about that because it's happening right now.
And throw it on a spinning rod.
Throw it on a spinning rod.
With 8-pound test leader
Yep.
or 8-pound test line.
Yep.
And just wind it in.
Yep.
And if you got some kids out fishing with you and it's a tough day of fishing and they're not getting bit, put it on one of their rods.
It's amazing.
And you
It
know
really
what?
is.
When you tell the kids to cast it out and reel it in slow, they're fully invested in drinking the Kool-Aid and they will start whacking fish.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
and you won't mind going
it
through
works.
a couple packs of your beloved spark shads.
Well, the reason we're talking about that, because we did go over it once before, but it was very important to us because these baits are so hard to get and we're going through them. And we wanted just to make sure people knew that, first of all, it catches the hell out of fish.
Yeah.
Secondly, if you don't know about that wobble head, it makes any bait wobble,
Right.
and number 3 is
Propeller.
yeah. Well, number 3 is this is a way where you can get more than 1 or 2 fish out of a bait.
I love it.
And George really does. He uses it all the time.
And I despise finesse.
Yeah, but he uses that clip all the time. He uses it on other things too, but he really saves a lot of
I rig
really.
that trailer lock a lot just because, in the last 18 months, getting the baits that you're using has been a challenge.
Yeah,
right?
so this really helps. Really helps.
It saved me a ton of baits when I needed them.
Right.
And I don't know.
Well,
I like it.
One other thing that we thought we would talk about is for the time of year, George, is right now everybody's drop shotting.
Yeah, they're especially up in the Thousand Islands.
Exactly. We've been talking about Thousand Islands. We've been talking about the Great Lakes. We've been talking about the St. Lawrence. We've been talking about drop shotting and any lake in deeper water. Catching.
What's one of the biggest problems?
The biggest problem is line twist.
Pisses me off.
Yeah. So we wanted to tell you guys about a couple of ways to get off of the line twist that you get. Now, if you don't think you're getting line twists, that's because you're not fishing in deeper than 10 feet of water. Once you break that 20-foot barrier,
or you're not fishing,
the shit is going to hit the fan, and it always does. And I'm telling you, you can ruin a spool of line in a second with this thing. So George, tell us the different ways.
I'm just saying.
Tell us the different ways that we can do to keep us from ruining all this good fluorocarbon.
Well, back in the day before we had these nice hooks that everybody makes with the swivel built in. Let me show you one of these. So this hook right here, and we've talked about this before. It's so relevant right now. Where were we just fishing, you and I, when my line was just getting twisted up terrible from drop shotting?
Conowinga, we were fishing at.
I mean,
not only that, it was current and deep.
And I just didn't want to drop shot to begin with. So it was just
exactly. And you were fighting it the whole time.
It was just, and
you wouldn't just stop. And which really surprised me.
I fixed it finally.
You finally did.
I picked up a crankbait.
Well, the one thing
You slinging a rig, George?
the one thing I love about fishing with George, the one thing I love about fishing with George is he always stops, and he always says, "All right, I gotta fix this," and he always does. I mean,
so
and this is what he does.
This came so years ago. I was fishing. I don't even know who was sponsoring it then. It's now called the Toyota Series, but I was fishing one of these
on Erie, right?
On Lake Erie.
Yeah.
I'd never been to Lake Erie before. I never drop shotted before. All right, sounds like something we should do. So we paid our 15 hundo and packed up the family truckster and headed west. And I'm out there drop shotting in the middle of Lake Erie in the abyss.
I know, man. We had no clue.
I'm reeling my rig in all day long, and my freaking fluorocarbon, every time I drop slack in my rod tip, is wrapping around my rods. And I mean, I am freaking hostile over this situation. And I run into a good friend of mine by the name of Timmy Hegrich. And I'm like, what in the beep is going on here, bro? I went through about $300 worth of fluorocarbon this week. He's like, dude, you're reeling up your drop shot from 35 feet of water and it's helicoptering.
Yeah.
And I said,
unbelievable.
This is fantastic.
Yeah. This is a revelation.
Evolution.
So
the problem is they didn't have this. They didn't have this.
Right.
You see that hook? See what that hook's doing on that swivel?
No, they can't. Move it over. Yeah, right there.
Well, I can't spin it like that.
Put your hand behind it.
Yeah, turn. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Look at that son of a bitch spin.
So what happens is when you reel your bait up, because basically you got a half of a propeller there, it just the whole ways up to the surface.
Yeah.
And your
problem solved.
Your 100 yards, your 100 yards of high seas fluorocarbon.
Yeah,
it's ruined.
Oh yeah, but the problem solved with that little spinning
thing. But you're stubborn,
or if you want to use a specialized hook, George, it doesn't come like that.
Right. If some hooks are not.
Yeah.
Most hooks are.
Well, no,
but not all.
The mosquito.
So we're going to be fishing with Ryan Buttermore in a few weeks, and what? Not supposed to say that.
No. We don't want anybody else on the river that weekend.
That's
paparazzi are going to be following us now.
And he likes to fish a number 4 owner
trout hook,
drop shot hook. I mean, this thing's like
it's
this,
ridiculous.
but you can't buy it in a spin shot. So what do we do, George?
We take this little power swivel.
Nick, you got to get this, man. This is crazy.
On this one.
You can't even see it.
Well, back in the day when I was out conquering the seas of Lake Erie.
How big is that, Corbin?
Well, this is not the smallest. Here we go. I got a volunteer here.
It's about the size of a mosquito.
This is a 10.
Yeah. And what's the weight capacity on that, George? It's crazy.
What do we have for reference here? How about
65 pounds.
How about the top of this pen?
Yeah. Look at that.
So this is a big pen.
65-pound test.
This is a number 10 owner micro hyper swivel. Now they make them down to 14. This is a 10.
This is a 10.
You can reel this through your guides and cast it.
It's 65-pound test, George.
I don't
either. I don't like that.
But if you're into knot tying, you can splice this in your leader above your rig. But that's 2 more knots. You got to tie, a knot on each end. Yeah. But I'll tell you what I used to do before we had these fancy hooks here. I used to tie a bunch up.
Yeah, you can pre-rig it.
I tied a bunch up, and I'd rig a couple rods, and then I tied them up, and I put them in my underneath the lid of my skeeter boat.
Right.
They have like foam under the lid, and I'd stick them underneath there.
All ready to go.
Because we didn't have spot lock or nothing, so you had to get quick on it, or you were a mile off your spot.
But then some genius comes along.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
Well, it was. If you'd like to know the breakdown,
I wish I would have started.
It was VMC.
It was VMC spin shot, and somebody said that on here. VMC spin
and
shot.
And the guy that invented it previously worked for Mustad, and Mustad didn't treat him real well. So he said, "Oh, I'm going to take my little idea here, and I'm going to take it to a place called iCast." And they sold like
a jillion of them.
I mean,
1 jillion.
Yeah. And then now everybody and their brother has them. Gamakatsu, they all do.
So that's the thing. This one here is the G Loomis.
G Finesse.
G Finesse. Sorry.
I'll tell you what. When you reel that bad boy in, all day, 12 hours of fishing on the St. Lawrence.
No twist.
None.
I like it too because
zero.
The amount of knots you have to tie. You have to tie the hook on, and then you can clip your line in like you would a drop shot sinker.
Yeah, so you don't need to tie another knot.
And then you go down, drop your line down there, and you put your drop shot sinker on it. There's no knot tying. There's one knot.
One knot.
There's one knot.
One knot.
So this has the little clip on the bottom.
That's a Gamakatsu G Finesse.
G for George?
Maybe. Now, they also have this in the Aaron Martin's wire.
Yeah, you can see that right there. You can see the little clip on the bottom that you slide your line in for your drop shot.
Yeah.
Clip it on there, and then the sinker. Let me hold this like this once. So now you can see the hook, and it just spins. How do I do this?
That's terrible.
Right there. Watch.
Yeah, there you go.
Watch this, Nick. Spins like a top, baby.
It's like a ball bearing.
Look at that. That's perfect, Nick. So
yeah.
And
you can get this hook in a straight shank.
You get it a lot of different ways.
If you like the straight shank, and I'm just gonna say it. If you like the robo worm style hook, which everybody's copied,
I love
Gamakatsu has copied the robo worm hook under the keeper and G Finesse.
Yep,
their keeper's at a 10.
Yep,
it's underneath the Aaron Martin's brand.
You got the VMC spin shots. They got that all worked out there. They got all kinds of hooks with that.
Yeah, let's just suffice it to say
there's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them. So,
but I promise,
I'm not one to tell people what to do, Mike.
But tell them.
But I'm going to tell people what to do.
Tell them this is.
You can get you can get that little pack of swivels, and you can tie that in your leader. Which I do, because I'm stubborn. Or you can take this here hook right here, and when the wind's blowing, I want you to paint a picture in your minds. We're gonna go. What's that guy's name? Bob, the painter, the happy tree guy. Bob Ross. We're gonna go Bob Ross here.
I thought you were gonna say Bob the Builder.
We're going Bob Ross here.
Just say it.
I'm painting a picture.
Get me home, bro.
This is Bob Ross.
You're killing me.
We're gonna have a happy little boat on a happy little river. But we're going to have 30 miles of just raw wind blowing, and you break your rig off. Do you really want to try to tie 3 freaking knots on your rig? Hell no.
Are you slinging a rig, George?
Get me one of these here quick knots.
I know. It is nice.
Just move on with your life, son.
Or if you're lazy like me.
Move on with your life,
Trenton Carey says.
Think about Bob Ross, for God's sakes.
Trenton Carey says, you will never convince me that the Aaron Martin's drop shot hook is not the best drop shot hook ever.
Well, you know what? I'm on the Trenton Carey train because I love that hook.
It is a great hook, but you got to use the swivel.
No, they make this hook with the swivel.
Oh, they do.
They make his hook.
That hook. They
make that hook.
Oh, hell.
Exactly like this. They also make it in a straight shank.
There you go.
Where you been for the last couple minutes? Yeah.
Bro, I didn't know that I didn't know what the Aaron Martin's hook was.
You're all about the meat and potatoes, not the
I got other issues.
I got it.
I got issues.
Well, we knew that.
So don't worry about it.
No, I'm not. I always got a pack of hooks for you in the boat, Mike.
Richie Hall, he said that about that. And then BMC spin shot hooks were the beginner of it, and they started a whole thing. That was great.
Yeah.
Who else is hanging out with us? Kenneth Howard, family truckster. Yeah. That was
Keith Howard. What do you mean, Kenneth Howard?
Keith.
Come on, Mikey.
Come on, Bobby.
I got to bring it together.
George, we got one more thing we were going to touch on for sure.
I mean, Keith Howard's an A1 from day one. Yeah. I mean, we love the guy.
Erika Albright.
Oh, this is terrible.
God.
This is terrible.
I did it on purpose.
No.
I did it on
my
purpose.
God.
Oliver, how you doing?
Oh, man.
Oliver Geyser.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
All
around.
right. Can you
We're just
calm
kidding around.
Get back on track, son.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're just kidding around. So anyway, we wanted to bring a couple of things to light there, and it was kind of relevant for the time that we're in right now, and that's why we brought it up again. We do that sometimes. But we have a lot of new listeners.
Yeah,
ton of new listeners.
Why not?
So
I would go out on a limb and say we got this here Thursday night time slot all sewed up.
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, I would do it if nobody listened because I have fun doing it.
Yeah.
But I mean, to have all these wonderful listeners who we deeply appreciate, we want to thank you.
I got an announcement, George.
Well, we also have some more stuff to talk about. But yeah, make your announcement. Is this going to be like revolutionary?
Well, what do you got to talk about?
Oh,
well, I mean, we still got the Washburn Waximo, Wisconsin, shaky head breaking off 8 on a rock pile going to Nico rigging.
yeah. So you remember a few episodes ago, we broke down the Nico rig.
Yeah.
In depth.
Yeah.
Right.
And one of the things we talked about is the ability to drag your Nico rig through the gnarliest of nastiest of cover.
Yep.
Well, young CG Gottwald here pointed out that Jimmy Washam,
Right.
after he had his 17-year-old one-knocker spook beatdown, had to switch up to a worm. And he went to his beloved shaky head with a 6-inch worm, probably a trick worm, let's face it. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Jimmy's probably watching, and I hope he's not upset with me. But I mean, come on, Jimmy, you're fishing a trick worm, not an unnamed worm. So Corbin's pointed out, the reason he went to that Nico rig is because he started off shaky heading, and he kept getting he was fishing what they call a closing dam. Now, for those of you who don't know the Mississippi River,
What is a closing dam?
a closing dam is something that the Army Corps of Engineers puts in. Now, you heard of wing dams. Wing dams come off the bank, and they go out part way, and they keep the current flowing in the channel. So the current wants to come this way. The wing dam pushes the current in the channel. It's just a little rock wall. It might be 100 feet long. It might be 100 yards long, but it forces the current to the channel. A closing dam is underwater rock ledge made out of riprap that blocks off a cove. Now, at normal pool, you can drive your boat over top of a closing dam on plane. Okay? So he was fishing across this cove, and his skeg hit a rock. And it turned out he had a big underwater riprap wall that went from point to point on this cove, and it's called a closing dam. So imagine, if you will, throwing your shaky head on a rock wall like that.
Yeah.
And you're going to bust off it because it's falling in all them nooks and crannies.
Right. Riprap.
Right. Underwater.
Yeah.
So Corbin and I wanted to say, a big advantage of Nico rigging is this Nico rig, with its weight in there, it bends around the snags.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So
exactly.
So that was these are the little fine-tuned
slinky.
points that you got to pay attention to.
I get it. I
You
get
know,
it.
and again, I'm pretty weak on the whole Nico rigging thing. What you really need to do, and what I really need to do, is we need to get together with our spinning rod and our Nico rigging equipment, and we need to devote some time to learning the Nico rig. Because as Jimmy Washam showed us, it could be worth $200,000.
Yeah. I mean, George don't finesse though. He saes he hates doing that.
Well, I was watching. I
It's rough.
was reading the Bassmasters today, and they had that guy who won the St. Lawrence, the
Taco
Ito, and he kind of brought that to light to a lot of people because he was doing a lot of that down there, and I saw his rig, and he explained his rig on there on the Bassmaster,
Yeah.
and
He's a finesse guy.
absolutely, it's a thing, and we're always like, so resistant to try something new. We just everybody fights it. This is stuff we need to do. We need to try it.
Well, you know,
how long did it take me to throw a Ned rig? I was like the last one ever.
It took a while.
I mean,
Like the last one ever. I got to stop that.
If you take a technique that you are either uneducated in or weak in, and you take that technique fishing with you for a small portion of every one of your trips, you might not realize it at first, but at the end of the year, that technique is going to become a major player for you.
It absolutely will.
Now, you know,
but you need to have.
It's hard to do sometimes.
You need to have a successful day of fishing. If you have the bites and you get the confidence,
that's exactly what happens. You gain confidence.
Then you will fish it. Then you will fish it.
I think it starts with you got to be able to find the fish.
Dude, you need to get bites.
Yeah,
period.
But if you got to find, I mean, if you go.
Well, we're talking about trying to make let's just say that from now until this time next year, we're all going to become Nico. I'm going to
wizards.
I'm going to be
Professor Nico.
George
Wizards.
Ito. You're going to be
Wizards.
Corbin Ito, and this is going to be Mike Ito.
No, I'm going to be a wizard.
We're going to be the Ito brothers.
I want to be a wizard.
But you know, we
Nico
have
wizard.
to somehow try to make this technique work on every trip. Now, for me, that's going to be difficult because A, I hate finesse. And B, you know, last week it was high current. We were winding. It was power fishing 101. It would have been really hard to slow down. Now, we did find a couple areas where we could have done that. But I think the moral of the story is whatever technique you're weak in, try to employ it at some point during each trip.
Trenton's talking about this free rig. I hate the free rig. I'll never fish it. Never going to fish it.
Well, it's finesse.
I hate it.
It's finesse.
Do you know what it is, Nick?
I'm not sure about the free rig, but I can tell
Everybody's
you,
talking about it now.
I got forced into the Nico rig, and I'll tell you why. Because everybody throws a Senko, you know, wacky rig.
Yeah.
And I have no patience to wait for that.
I know.
So I thought to myself, I'll put a weight at the end.
Yeah.
And it just, to me, I had to speed up the process. And I know I'm still getting a little bit of a reaction bite because I fished
went
faster,
heavy.
But it
went
works.
heavy.
It works. Yeah.
How heavy a sinker? You went heavy.
I'll go anywhere between a 16th all the way up to a quarter ounce. But you know, it just I can't wait for that slow fall. I just can't do it.
How much faster does it fall?
It falls quite a bit faster.
Really?
Yeah, but the only thing is it takes away from that wobble.
Right.
It goes down, but
you're fishing a drag on the bottom.
Well, a lot of times I like to flip it into the grass, into those open pockets. And instead of waiting for that Senko to kind of do its thing, I'm going for that reaction bite. That's the way I feel confident fishing it, and it works.
You like the spikes, or do you like a mushroom?
I like the mushroom.
How many you lose in one day?
I started to use a little bit of that fish glue you got back there. Yep.
Help you out a little bit.
Are you fishing that finesse or power?
I would say it's more power.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're going to fish a heavier weight.
Fishing 12-pound line?
I'm fishing 12 pounds.
Yeah. So that's going to require,
Yep.
That's going to require a little bit of a heavier weight.
Right.
Than a true finesse. Plus, if you're deeper, plus if you're in grass.
Right.
And I'm totally with you on that. You know, one of our good friends used to
medium action or fast action?
Medium action, but I will tell you the last tournament I was in at Cayuga, the BFL, I had a hard time getting bites. So everything was getting slammed that actually had live weeds because they're killing everything. I went to a 4-inch Senko and I put that small weight on the end, and it was a more finesse. But then I'm using 8-pound. I was using 8-pound instead. But
well, one of our good friends used to own a company. It was called Revenge Baits, and he made a little jig head called a Flippin Whacker.
Yeah.
So what the Flippin Whacker was a wacky jig head, but with a 1X or a 2X hook in it, so that you could put it on a heavier rod and wacky rig in grass like you're talking about, but have enough hook so that when you hooked a good fish on a heavier rod, with heavier line, you didn't have your hook flex open and lose the fish. So,
Yep.
you know, if you're going to modify your wacky rig for heavier line, as cameraman Nick is pointing out, you know, he went to a heavier weight to compensate for the heavier line.
Well, I mean,
It's the
not
same.
necessarily though. What were you putting in the end 16th ounce?
Well, for the Cayuga, George is right. Typically, I'll go heavier.
Yeah.
But for that real finesse presentation I needed for Cayuga, then I was forced into that 8-pound test
of spinning rod.
1/8 ounce. But typically, like George is pointing out, I like to throw the 12-pound
Right.
and go as heavy as I can.
Right.
And try to get that reaction bite.
Good.
I'm like George. I don't really want to finesse if I don't have to.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, and I can relate to that because I had a really awesome BFL tournament I've talked about a few times. What was interesting was I was on like phenomenal fish.
Was this the one on the bay?
This was one of them on the bay. The Chesapeake Bay where I fished a lot of BFLs. But anyways, on this particular tournament, my bite went away, and I did the same exact thing. I went to a heavier rod, and I went to a drop shot rig on heavy line with a big hook and a heavier weight. And I just started drop shotting. These were all pre-spawn fish that were just pressured to beyond. And I just started drop shot and just getting that bait up off the bottom, but it wasn't a traditional finesse drop shot rig. And I think, you know, the Nico rig is where this conversation started, is wide open to everything from a spinning rod with light line to a casting rod with heavy line,
right?
Just by varying the hook and the weight.
I think it's easier for me to throw a Nico rig than it is anything else. And Trent's asking me why I hate the free rig. I'm scared. I'm sorry. I'm scared. Scared of it.
Okay.
Did you ever fish it? Scary.
I never did.
Scary rig.
I never did.
Very scary.
Basically a drop shot with a free sliding sinker.
Scary. Thinking that you have to throw that.
Well, so you know, when you're catching fish, you know, which is again,
I know.
Maybe the free rig becomes
it's just too much.
Our rig of choice, and we have to learn
too many
the
of
free
them.
rig.
Remember when we did that show on the rigs?
Yeah.
Like I didn't even know the freaking names of them.
The chicken rig and all that.
There was all these freaking. And somebody else had one on here. Some stupid thing. You know what the hell is it with these rigs?
Well,
I don't get it.
One day we'll debut the CG rig, but not today.
CG rig.
I mean,
I don't even want to know it.
Oh, George saw the CG rig in action once.
There's just so many of them. It drives me crazy, you know.
Mike, I had 4 donkey rigs tied on at the same time. I had like 4 super flukes, man.
We got some
rod.
Freaking crazy guy, little child rig. What the hell's that?
I think you know what I think it is?
Time.
I think it's fashionable right now to come up with psycho names for rigs.
The next show, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have a rig. It's going to be my rig.
Oh,
I'm coming up with it.
Oh, it could be a jackhammer.
It's going to be a special rig, and it's going to be mine.
It could be a crooked swim bait. I mean, we got a lot of Mikey rigs.
There's a lot of guys like Steve, Skeeter Steve.
Yeah,
he loves the free rig. Freaking loves it. He's all like, he walks in here. I mean, that's why I hate it so much. He walks in every day. Freaking free rig. I whacked 4 of them on a free rig yesterday on the Dead Sea.
Maybe we should have him on the show.
We should.
Yeah.
Old Steve-O. Hey, Steve-O, you're on next week. Talk about the free rig. He loves it.
I'm pretty sure it ain't free.
Oh, it's not free, but he loves it. Yeah, Trent. I know it's a gig, bro. I appreciate it, man. I just was joking with you. It does catch smallmouth. You're right. They and that's what Steve Skeeter Steve does. Whack smallies with it.
Really?
Oh yeah, over in the Dead Sea.
I mean, never say no.
Yeah.
When it comes to learning a new technique. And I think
Richard Hammer.
I think if you want to be impressive,
I love that.
You know, you do a day of fishing where you say, hey, you know what? I don't know what the free rig is. We go out, we do nothing but free rig.
Dude, that ain't never going to happen.
Are you saying we're going to free rig this Sunday?
I mean, you remember how many times we tried that? And you're right. We should do that. We really should do that. But all of a sudden, it's like you're not catching anything, and it's like, you know what?
We'll run out of beer.
Well, all I'm saying is,
you're right, though.
You know,
you need to experiment.
If you want to become
all joking aside,
if you want to become a better angler,
yeah,
every season that you fish, you should pick a technique that you're weak in, and you should employ that technique on every trip. And it may not work. It may be like, today's not a good day for this. I learned something about my rig. It's not good in these conditions. But maybe the next time it is. And maybe the next time you modify it. And maybe the next time, you know, your buddy who's fishing with you points out something to you. But by the end of the year, you know, I'm going to tell you, you're going to be really good at Nico rig or free rig or child rig or, you know, I don't know, tractor trailer rig or whatever you come up with. But
the Richard Hammer rig.
Yeah. So,
Ken Wood, that was a great one.
I'm down for, you know, the rig challenge. Sometime we do a Sunday fun day. We pick a rig. We spend the entire day exploiting the rig. And then on Tackle Shop Live the following week, we reveal the findings.
We can definitely do that.
And I'm down for that. Okay. So, you know, interesting show tonight, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Cameraman Nick, we appreciate your insights on your childhood fears about wacky rigging.
Yep.
I mean, you know, it took a lot of courage to come out and say that.
I had an announcement. I needed to. So I have one announcement, George, real quick.
Is it important?
It is very important.
Oh.
Yep.
Everybody needs to go to our Instagram page.
Oh, the giveaway.
And we are giving away $250 of hardcore tackle that cameraman Nick went out shop to shop. I said, go shopping, Nick. Pick out your best, the hottest tackle. He picked up $250+. It's because it was over 250. And we are going to give it away to everybody who likes and shares our Instagram page.
Yeah, if you go on our Instagram, you go and you to sign up.
We're going to give it away to everybody.
No, you're going to have a chance to win it.
Really?
Once our Instagram hits
5,000, you ruined it.
Followers. But you know, it's unlimited times you can enter. It's very simple. Just follow the directions.
Yeah.
And what we picked out there, if you look at it, it's all the stuff we talk about here on Tackle Shop Live. It's the latest, greatest stuff from my cast and stuff that guys are winning tournaments on. And you know,
it's like we just picked it out last week.
Right.
It's hot stuff.
It's hot stuff.
Hot stuff.
Mike, maybe we should just do a flatworm giveaway. We'll get there real quick. I'm just kidding.
I think
so.
I think everybody go crazy, but you know, first of all, you got to get them
right.
All right. So go there, check it out, guys. You know, get us up to 5,000. We're going to give it away. We may have to modify that, Nick, or whatever. But right now we're shooting for 5,000. Let's get it done. Throw that rig.
Get your bat tracks.
Yep. Get your backtracks. Call the shop for the backtracks.
I want to leave some people with a passing notice here. You need to get your mind right and get you some screw heads and some spark sheds because
it's the deal.
It's on.
Even George can catch fish.
Take us home, Mike. I just want to point out this week at sfttackle.com and Susquehanna Fishing Tackle, we got a bunch of Max Scent. We got a bunch of Fritz sides. We got a bunch of St. Croix. We got a bunch of Shimano rods. We got a bunch of Strike King baits. We got a bunch of Daiwa reels. And we got a big old order from Mega Bass. So guess what?
Get the net.
Call us. Phone a friend.
Get the net.
Walk. Ride the bus. Drive your truck here. Whatever it takes.
Moped.
See you next time.
And we'll see you next time.
Tackle Shop Live.
Well, I know what I feel. Please tell me your love is real. You make me smile when I think soaked in sweat, with chills running down my neck. I'm going crazy from just the thought of you. A long blonde hair and your beautiful smile. Your sense of humor makes it all worthwhile. Don't make me wait, it's not a funny game. You know just what I feel. Please tell me our love is real. You make me smile when I think of you. If I am down or when I am blue, I can't get enough. You make me happy, I feel so fine. Oh, how I wish that you were mine. I can't get enough. Hopeless lover, a hopeless lover, hopeless lover. You make me smile when I think of you. If I am down or when I am blue, and I can't get